He's day 39. Day 39. Yeah. Just one day left. Yeah, I'm lying down. You see me right now on my castle. Yeah, I'm lying down because this video may go long. I don't want it to. Look, man. I'm catching a lot of trends. You have to understand. The internet is like the newest thing, right? Every interaction on the internet is brand spanking new. But the internet is not the only medium for communication. And for that reason, there's a lot of things that are new and being seen as new on the internet. But the reality is, those parallels can be drawn in terms of these interactions and similar outcomes on other mediums. So let me just, so I don't lose my point, because I didn't even wave up. I just wanted to kind of just talk to you guys just straightforward, so people can truly understand the intent behind today's video. Okay, so my homeboy Spec, I've been producing for that dude. I don't know. I'm not gonna go through the history of how long I've been working with Spec, but he just dropped a new video with his girl, Shy, who I've also worked for. Congrats on their new youth. But they dropped a video that I know the city, in terms of the black community, is gonna run with, and they're gonna mess with it. They're gonna love it. They're gonna rock with it. The issue that I consistently notice with songs that the black community run with are access to champion that kind of music is to the white community, to the places that we realistically needed a video like this to reach, is limited. Like, for instance, this video may help explain to somebody locally, right? Somebody locally who doesn't understand, because we don't have the same amount of police brutality, and we don't have the same type of systemic oppression. So when they see the propagated American news or the news from around the world about the atrocities that are going on, it's hard for them to liken it to their everyday communications or everyday interactions, with the black community. So for me, I look at this video, I'm like, wow, represents me, represents every person who look like me, and will love it, will champion it. We may even be able to come behind that video and give it 1 million hits, and that would be epic for a man like Spec, who's been really hustling the true meaning of hip hop from day one. But like I said, there's two fights going on. As I scroll down my Facebook and I see that video and I see everybody loving it, and I'm loving it, then I scroll and I see, and maybe I should put these screenshots on blast, but I'm not about putting random individuals on blast. Maybe my future, but that's not what today is about. Where is it? Where is that clip? Whatever, doesn't matter. I'll just go off top. It was a virgin of mine, I guess a big brother of mine, from church days, and he was posting a clip that had a very well educated black man giving some insight on the back and forths between the black and white community, why our community is still disadvantaged based on all the different constructs that keep us oppressed, that no one really can book. Let me see if I can at least find that clip quick, because I think just in terms of context, it is important. Give me a second. I'll find it just now. Here we go. Found it.
Arrested for walking while black.
Okay, listen to this.
My son has been arrested for walking while black. So I get it.
A lot of sons have been arrested.
Yeah, I get it. It doesn't make me, you can't buy your way out of this one. You can't educate your way out of it. It's just happening too much, or at least we know about it now. It's always happened. We see more evidence of it. And too often people still are inclined to say, well, if he'd had a different attitude, well, if he hadn't been driving, well, if he hadn't been this, if he hadn't been that, almost as if the victim is partially to blame. You know, in the case of Garner, well, he shouldn't have resisted. In the case of Brown, well, where was he? In the case of Trayvon, well, he had a hood on, you know, and in the case of whoever, you know, in case of Sandra Bland, you know, well, her attitude was better. It's like, no, stop. This has nothing to do with the victims. This has everything to do with the culture of demeaning a person of color. And there is no justification for a society where my son has a far greater chance of being stopped, held, killed than your son, simply because he's black.
No, that rings very true. Like, there is no lie. Zero lies. There's zero lies with what that guy is saying. But in my position, there is zero truth to be found in terms of me applying my next steps as a black individual living in the demographic that I live in by championing his points. Because I've been stopped walking while black. I'm a young person in this community. I've only just recently transitioned over into adult life. So my experiences as a black person, while everybody is experiencing the shootings and the killings by police in the States, is quite different. I've never really worried about being arrested and brought in on random charges for being an upright citizen but being black. The only times I've been given unfair treatment is when I put myself in a position that was sketchy and I got caught. And where maybe a white individual in that similar situation would be given an extra chance, given a bly, I was not. So in Canada, it's a very different situation. You notice in the States, people are so pressed that even as they try to move forward, they are never given the chance. But you notice now in Canada, you're given the chance, but there's so little guidance, so little avenues for true success that are shown to the youth, that they get caught up by the same propaganda that says United States is your struggle. So the kids here take on a very, very aggressive countenance naturally. We don't got no gun violence here like the same. We don't got gun culture here the same. It's not the same. Things are slowly trying to become the same, but I'm saying at this point in time, it ain't the same like the States, right? But because we're so far removed, we don't understand what our role is as black Canadians. We don't understand what our role in the fight would be for these same black Americans, for these same Africans, for these same Haitians, for these same, for the entire black diaspora across the planet. We as black Canadians don't understand our role in that fight. So, boom, I'm continuing to scroll. And then I seen this clip. It's a World Star Hip Hop clip. I feel like recording the screen so you guys can see it, but whatever. I'm just gonna explain it because it's not that deep. It's just two dudes fighting outside a police station. One dude's in a suit and he's a larger dude, and he looks like he's Middle Eastern, Indian of that background, brown dude. The other dude who he's fighting, he's a smaller black dude. Smaller dude, like small. And they're both fighting. So they're both, got their dukes up and they're going at it. But as you can tell throughout the video, because you know what, fuck it, I'm just going to post the video in this clip so you can see. So as you can tell by that video, the black youth wasn't really trying to fight consistently. He was more trying to get away and defend himself. But as soon as the police arrive on scene, they have to make an immediate decision on who is the aggressor, Who is the most risky individual between these two? Who needs to be handled in a way to ensure that this situation will not escalate? So that is based on training. That is not anything to do with, the phone call that was given or anything like that. Because when they got on scene, they threw the black boy on the ground. They handcuffed him immediately. The other dude, they separated him. They brought him to the other side. He was wearing a suit, right? He already took off his jacket. He's ready to fight. It's not like he's in his jacket anymore. He has his jacket off. His girl, in her I don't even know what it's called. I would love to say hijab, but I believe that's the wrong term. So I don't want to say any terms. But she's covered up. You know what I'm saying? And that's the only reason you could tell that he actually isn't white. Because initially when you watch the video, you believe he's a whiter dude. He's clearly of lighter complexion. So I consistently see, regardless of whether it is white black, Asian black, Indian black, there's always a way we look at the darker skinned person upon initial investigation of any situation. So as I want to, okay, so boom, that video. Then I scroll down and I see this next video here on my Facebook. Like, it's literally one right after the other. So this next video right here is a Muslim boy. I don't think I need to play this video at all because you just get it straightforward. A Muslim boy, right, from Texas, wanted to surprise his teachers and impress his teachers with his level of skill. Took him like 20 minutes. He made himself a digital clock from scratch. That impressive of a mind. He took that clock to school, and instead of being heralded as, like, look at this boy genius, look at this Einstein, look at this Jimmy Neutron, he was sent to the office. They called the authorities. He was, like, they thought he had a bomb. So that's what's going on. They thought it was a bomb because he's Muslim. They brought him to the police station, juvenile detention, and they investigated him even before calling his parents. So they basically questioned him without his parents there, breaking that kid's rights, breaking his parents' rights. But it doesn't really matter. We already understand that United States has already been in martial law, or whatever you want to call it. Like, they're allowed to basically inflict their entire army on their own people right now. So it doesn't really matter. Like, who cares about all that shit? It's past. But now what does that mean as a Canadian? Well, I'm a black man here who has certain amounts of rights that give him freedom to move around this planet in a very, very loose way. But I don't take advantage of that because I sit here and complain about my struggle or my fight as a black Canadian. Does that make sense? No. Okay. So whose fight should I struggle? Like, whose fight should I champion then? Because, clearly as a black man, it's hard for me to say, help me, help my fight. Because I am not struggling like black Americans. I'm not struggling like black Africans. I'm not struggling like any other poor nation. I have a lot of privilege in comparison to my black brothers and sisters. So then that means, as a black face in these privileged arenas, what fight should I be fighting for? Well, I want to fight the Muslim fight. I want to help those darker brothers get help. But it also looks like, even in situations when now it's put between myself and them, that same white authority will still put me behind bars, or will still attack me first because of the bias between seeing darker and lighter. So now you put this black man in a position where he has to only champion himself. So hip hop, just to kind of bring this full circle, hip hop is the move of black people to champion themselves. It's a religion. If you didn't know that, hip hop is a religion. So if you're not religious towards the thought of what hip hop represents, you're a false prophet to me. You don't truly rap hip hop, and to me, you're just a pop artist. So it's fine. I have to make a very, very clear decision right now based on where I'm going with my career and the skill sets that I have to be able to get my word across to the largest amounts of people. I made the decision to be a pop artist. But my message and my move and my life will always represent hip hop. So when I want to perform around the world in these places that have these same inequality situations, when I walk up on stage, whose fight should I champion then? Should I champion my own struggle in Canada? Or should I champion the struggle of those in the lowest of the low? But if right now we look at people who have maybe some of the worst situations on the planet at this current point in time, it is over there in the Middle East. It is over there where it is war stricken. And that literally has to do with what my government is doing, what the American government is doing. So then my struggle in the same environment is completely likened to the struggle in the Middle East. There is zero difference because it's the same government that oppresses them, it's oppressing me. But the only way for me to free my brethren is for my brethren to come together to help me get out of this oppressed situation. Because their hands are too far removed to actually affect this government. My hands are not. So if this video kind of represents or symbolizes anything to people, is for them to understand that if you want to be free, you got to champion the black fight. There is zero way for you to find freedom in any way, shape, or form, even if you're a white person right now in an impoverished situation, unless you champion the black fight. The world needs to champion the black fight. Every person of every background needs to champion the black struggle, and champion finding a resolution to it. There's so many things scientifically that I can get into to substantiate this fact that your life will be better when black people's lives are better. But it's just straightforward. Wherever you are right now, you most likely are oppressed for some reason because someone else is richer or has more access to something than you do. And we all know that access ain't the reason why you should have something. It should be because you're dope at it. Everyone had access to drums, but Larnell at my church was the dopest guy on the drums. So he was given the role as the drummer. What I had to do to compete against him is finally get drums at home. But even when I practiced at home, I realized I ain't a better drummer than my homie Larnell. So I had to concede to truest innovation that God had blessed his hands to be the drummer in our church. And I then stepped back and found myself a position to play, which at this point in time has put me in the best position of my life. I'm glad I didn't stay a drummer. You get what I'm saying? So there's a perspective that needs to be here because as a kid, I was so sour. I was so sour. I was like, how is Larno dad always letting them play the drums? But hey, man, at the same time, I could say in that situation, if I was given maybe more access as a youth to play the drums, if maybe there was more drums in our, we only had one kid, so one person can be on it at a time. So there's a lot of back and forth, but I promise you, the first step is giving access to everybody, and the second step is seeing who's naturally the best at certain things. Give everyone a chance to show their best, and whoever is winning in that kind of environment, I'm down to champion those winners. In this environment where it's limited by access due to resources that have been pillaged and stolen, I don't give a fuck who winning. You ain't fucking winning. Anyways, before I get angry, because you saw that side coming out right now, I'm gonna leave this video alone. Let you think on what I said. It's 18 minutes. It's rare that I purposely try and make a video this long, but I think there's a lot that needs to be explained. I think there's a lot that needs to be understood by Canadians, specifically Black Canadians, but also by the entire Black diaspora worldwide. In order for us to actually win, in order for us to get ourselves as a humanity, as a planet, out of this oppressed situation and to live in a postmodern age, there's a lot of things we need to fucking understand first. So, yeah. You don't know, man,